Hello and welcome back to Out of Spec. I've had this Tesla Model 3 for now 3 months, which means it's time to assess everything. At least so far. We promised you guys regular updates, of course, talking about the car's updates over the air, efficiency stats, data, impressions, road trips. Basically, just want to talk about what it's like to really live with this car and document everything possible. So join me as we do the 3-month review of my Tesla Model 3. And joining me is the illustrious Andreas, who has had his Highland Model 3 all-wheel drive for a while now as well.
Yeah, and I had my Highland for 8 months now and have driven for 22,000 kilometers.
I'm metrically impaired, so I don't really know what a kilometer is, but either way, there's a lot to get into. It's actually freezing, way below freezing out here. So without further ado, DJ Andreas, hit that beat and let's jump right into it. Start? Yeah.
This video is brought to you by Iona, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Iona is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. This video is also brought to you by Eaton. Eaton is a one-stop shop for implementing reliable and innovative EV charging infrastructure at your site. Across all applications, Eaton's EV charging infrastructure, hardware, and software gives you the scalability, flexibility, and intelligence you need to charge today and scale up tomorrow. Learn more at eaton.com/EVCI.
Dude, it's freezing. It's actually below freezing. It's like 20 degrees with heavy humidity, fog, snow, everything.
Yeah.
Which is, well, it's probably negative Celsius.
It's -2, yeah. And I was actually wrong with the kilometers. It's 20,000 kilometers and not 22,000.
Oh.
As we start FSDing here.
Okay.
In the snow.
Yeah, so you have, 15,000 miles basically.
Yeah, 16,300.
I don't know where the car thinks it's going, but I figured this would be funny to actually... Okay, now we're reversing. So we thought it'd be funny to start this on top of a parking garage and then navigate on FSD to go somewhere else. I thought it'd be really interesting to discuss some of the things, largely our impressions, first and foremost. That's what a lot of people are really caring about. So now FSD is ignoring all the clean pavement and just driving on the snow, which is, actually, I've been using it a lot in the snow lately. And honestly, we need to bring you guys like a really dedicated, hardcore FSD video. Here we have a huge snowdrift it's choosing to drive into instead of the clean pavement.
It knows you have snow tires. No, actually you don't, so yeah.
Right. And now we have another snowdrift. So anyways, impressions. I guess as a reminder, this is the base model. We really wanted to cut the intro short because it's so cold outside, but this is the base model, which is partially why I have it. So we can continually compare what I think is one of the best bargains in the automotive industry, especially in the EV subspace. This is the rear-wheel drive long range. For a bit, the base model was actually the rear-wheel drive LFP, and I almost got that. I'm glad I waited.
Yeah,
because
good choice.
This improved, well, obviously the range, although the LFP being charged to 100% is not much different than the quote like 80% range of this one, which is mostly recommended, but I actually rarely charge this above 50, maybe 60%.
That's good.
So good for the battery health. That's like what we do over here. Side note, that cross-track with the STI spoiler is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So
still idling here.
Yeah, it was funny. FSD, another time in this garage, FSD brought us all the way to the top when we actually wanted to leave. Like it took us to the top first and then back down.
And there's a 5-story parking.
Yeah, so
garage.
It took forever.
And it's going very slowly.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it turns it on, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, I really digress. This was the base model, also with the free paint color. The only thing I added was the white interior because that's just
A must-have.
the way to go. It's necessary.
Yeah.
So I've had it now for 3 months and 5,500 miles. A good chunk of those miles were a road trip, not the majority, but like a solid noticeable chunk.
Siri, what's 5,500 miles in kilometers?
That's like 8,000, something like that.
Without even listening.
So it's been a good 5,500 miles. And I haven't been able to figure out how to tell, but I'm going to guess that 90, maybe even not quite 95%, but at least 90% of those miles have been on FSD.
Wow.
Which is crazy. The reason we got the base model is just, again, to see how the value is compared to everything else, because the base model gives you ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, a good sound system. It's not the premium sound system, but I actually don't think the premium sound system is like 1,000% worth it. It's not like a totally different set of speakers. It really just seems to add subwoofers and a couple more speakers, which would be nice. They are nice in your car.
Yep.
Andreas has the dual motor all-wheel drive version, which does have the premium sound system.
That's right.
The build of everything is kind of interesting with how Tesla does that, and I wish I could have opted for the rear-wheel drive with the premium sound system, because
As we're passing mine right here.
yeah, there's Andreas's looking good on the black Martian wheels.
Dirty.
Very dirty. Yeah, we did just wash mine. Let's see if it can make it out of this garage okay. But the deal was that the base Model 3 is about $42,000, give or take. And so effectively leasing it came out to $420 a month, which was sick. But that's with the Colorado incentive, of course, the federal incentive, I think a slight referral incentive, and it would have been cheaper because we did the 2-year with the maximum mileage, so 15,000 miles a year for 2 years. If you do the standard 10,000 miles a year for 3 years, that brings it down to below $300 a month. I've seen deals as cheap as $249 a month if you factor in even heavier referral incentive. So that's challenging to report on the price of Tesla vehicles because they do fluctuate so much. I mean, Andreas has been a Tesla owner for years.
Yep.
And you've seen a lot of fluctuations with not only the cars, but even the upgrades such as FSD and stuff, which we'll get into in a bit. But that is a lot to take in. But
quick comment on the mileage, actually.
Yeah.
So you picked the 50,000 miles per year, right? Now you've had it for 3 months, but you're already 5,000 in. So let's say you're a little over right now,
Yeah.
right? But you did a long trip out east too, right?
yeah, so
yeah.
without considering the road trip, I'm actually relatively on track for the correct mileage. But with the road trip, and I have an upcoming road trip, not quite as long as the last one, but definitely going to be interesting to see if we go over miles on this. And I expected not to, because I was like, wow, that's a lot of miles, and we drive a lot of cars out of spec. But this car just gets so much love and so much use because it's so nice to drive. And I can talk about why I even picked this in the first place. We have a whole video of like ordering this, going through that process. That also breaks down the payment, but basically the money side of things really changes almost with the day, with the breeze, as they say. And it's a really pretty good deal in the scope of all the cars out there. There's a lot of things I think Tesla does better than everyone else, but there's a lot of people who won't buy a Tesla because of certain political circumstances, or they just prefer something else, and that's very, very valid.
Some people just prefer fire trucks, just like over there.
Yeah. Some people want a type of vehicle Tesla doesn't even offer, like I don't know. There's a lot of
A big SUV.
There's just so many SUVs. Tesla has the Model Y, Model X, and stuff. So either way, on the subject of price, though, the referral can make a big difference. And I think at the moment there's even up to like $2,500 off if you use a referral.
That's correct. Yeah.
So down in the description, not our referral, Timon's referral. Today is Timon's birthday.
Happy birthday, Timon.
He does a lot of the editing out of spec. He has an old Model 3 Performance, which we're hopefully going to get an update on as well soon. I'm going to leave Timon's referral down below because you can use referral points, money, towards things at Tesla, such as upgrades like FSD, premium connectivity, which didn't used to be the case, and also even like things like maintenance. Timon's car is needing basically I think a AC compressor overhaul, possibly the entire HVAC system replaced, which is crazy. So I'm leaving that guy below if you guys want to send him some love on his birthday. You're thinking about buying a Model 3, you'll get $2,500 off, and he'll get some sort of kickback from Tesla.
Big dip coming up here
as well. Whoa. Yeah, so FSD, we can comment on that throughout this, but mostly good. We've been using it relatively all day because we actually tried to go drive the new Model Y, and Tesla's like, you can't yet. So we may try again tomorrow. I don't know. But I guess now that we're on the highway, we could talk about some of the driving dynamics, our impressions, because you actually had a previous Model 3.
That's correct, yeah.
Now we both have the Highland. I've driven the previous Model 3 quite a bit, thousands of miles. The NVH has really improved. The suspension has really improved. The fit and finish has really improved. Everything has improved drastically. And we were actually on the team in the I-90 Surge that drove this same spec across the country.
Second place.
Second place. That's actually what I named my Tesla, by the way, the silver medal emoji. And it was so good.
It was amazing, yeah.
I mean, you already had your Model 3 at that point.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of tipped for me to have it, because
exactly.
3,000 miles in this thing non-stop. I mean, we stopped to charge, but like, there was no breaks to sleep in a hotel or anything. It was living and breathing in this Model 3 for 48 hours, something like that. And surviving that was like, wow, this is really impressive.
Yeah, it was still comfortable, right? Like, it wasn't like, I didn't have any back issues or...
Yeah, the seats are comfortable. The interior just feels so good. I've had pretty much no creaks and rattles. So maybe I'll talk about that as well. Like, what have been my issues with the car? Nothing. Technically, the steering wheel is still like 1 degree off. I haven't fixed that yet. I think we mentioned that in the video when we picked up this thing on delivery day.
That's right, yeah.
Which that was the easiest process ever. It's wild to like hear about how like when people buy a Kia or something, 2 hours at the dealer signing paperwork. This was like, I didn't even have to talk to anyone. I mean, I think I had to by law because Colorado requires a physical ink signature, but that's just a Colorado thing.
Is it 1 degree of Celsius or Fahrenheit? Your steering wheel. Mine is 2, by the way. I still haven't fixed it.
Wow, maybe we should fix that together.
Yeah, I should.
That'd be interesting. But actually, all my cars have the exact same. They're all off by like 1 or 2 degrees.
You would probably crash it if it were straight.
Yeah, it'd really throw me off. But it hasn't bothered me because I don't touch the steering wheel. So I end up using FSD all the time because it has gotten so good now. Early days, FSD was fun and interesting, and like you're like, oh, what's it going to do this time? It's going to be a crazy wild ride. But early days is actually like engaging, but you always were like, oh my gosh, I have to like take over all the time. Now my takeover rate is like, I don't even know, it's less than 1%. I mean, it's in the like 10th of a percentile on how much I actually have to intervene. I'm not going to say it's perfect. Definitely not. And I do have quite a few interventions where I'm like, why are you doing this? It does the dumbest things occasionally. And a lot of times I do intervene, not because it was like absolutely necessary. It was like out of politeness for other drivers, because sometimes FSD is just a dick. Technical term.
Technical term, yeah.
But I guess comfort-wise, like I said, seats are great. NVH is great. It's improved from the previous outgoing model. Road trips are not fatiguing. That's why I was really excited to take my road trip. You've done a ton of road trips. Storage capacity. I've barely even touched the frunk or the sub trunk.
Okay.
Like, and maybe a part of that's just because I'm coming from a smaller car, the Miata. But on my road trip, I did use the frunk and the sub trunk, and it was so nice to have so many storage facets.
I touch it all the time, actually.
What's your like impression?
My 3, overall. Actually, I went back in my photos the other day, and I test drove the new Model 3 exactly a year ago. I think around this time it came into the stores. Actually, I picked it up like right here where we're about to turn into. And I remember getting into it, it just felt so much more premium, refined, as you said, NVH suspension. I was like, oh my God, I hate my car now. So I had a 2020 Standard Range Plus before.
Right.
And
there was like a mid-cycle sort of refresh to the outgoing Model 3 that did improve the interior a little bit, like the wireless phone charger, like some of the touch points were a little bit better, but it was definitely a minor adjustment.
Yeah.
And so even from someone going from that car to this felt huge. But notably going from the early Model 3 like yours to this, or like when I drive Beak, Kyle's Model 3, and then go into this, I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like a different model.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great upgrade. It's really a great upgrade.
Yeah. So the improvements in efficiency, like all that's been great. We'll talk about the stats here in a second, but we're pulling into Tesla. Gonna throw on the charger for a little bit here and talk about some of the modifications. No, it just suddenly gave up. So
first interventions.
Zero. Oh my gosh, I thought a car parked was gonna be in the way. 0 interventions until the last second when I'm in the parking lot, which that's one of the places FSD does need to improve, and we'll see if it does. But we'll get it plugged in here and talk about some modifications.
All right, let's go.
Andreas, we're always racing.
All right.
So, modifications. Well, as you can tell, it's no longer the factory color. It's convenient that we came to a Tesla location because I can probably, point out way over there, the factory color. You might have to zoom in. That's the color it used to be, and those are the wheels it was delivered on. That's the black interior over there, but we won't talk about that. I was very excited to have this wrapped. Actually, the first thing I did, if you want to look around on your side too, whichever way, the wheels. Andreas has these as well. These are the Martian Wheels MW08s. A relatively new wheel for Martian Wheels. They are flow formed, not actually forged like a lot of the earlier Martian wheels, and they still have newer versions of the MW03, MW05 that are forged. Those are like the really aggressive, they look more aggressive, they're even more racing oriented. These are just flow formed, so they are improvements on the factory wheel, but they're actually the same spec. This is the 18 by I think 8.5. Similar offset, slightly better, not quite the, I forget what the offset is factory, but this is a slightly better offset as far as fitment is concerned, and I am wrapped in the Hakkapeliitta R5 winter tires, which are amazing. I've driven this clearly in a lot of snow, and it's been phenomenal. Even as a single motor, I'm so used to saying dual motor all-wheel drive. Even as an A motor, which actually, look at the back here. I took a dual motor badge and made it A motor, because that's what this is. This is the A motor. So that's, I guess the other thing I did is custom license plate. So now it's FSD-ish. And that's to point out that FSD is not truly ready yet. So, but the rest of it, obviously, different color. This is a brand new color from Avery Dennison called a Satin Jade. It is similar to the pistachio color they already had, which I almost went with, but then they came out with this color right as I was planning to wrap it, so I was like, I have to do that. No one's done this color. There's like no photos of it online, so I'm excited to be some of the first photos of this color. It is a satin finish, not a glossy finish, which is really nice, but a bit more shiny than the actual matte finishes that you see some vehicles have. A lot of Teslas get wrapped. It's not a new thing, but it was cool to stick out and have a different color than a lot of other people had. So really love this. Test Bros did the wrap. They did a pretty good job on it. And it's just cool and fun and exciting to see the car come together piece by piece. I actually wrapped this door myself, which looks pretty good, surprisingly.
Yeah, good job.
But it really made the car look completely different. So we got the free color because we intended on wrapping it from the beginning. So totally changed the outside, put on the black badge, the black badges on the rear, the silver wheels, which I really like silver. I love bronze wheels personally, but like silver I think is back end, classy, it's a good vibe. Let's jump inside and talk about the rest of the modifications and changes. It is just so cold.
It's very cold.
Why we're jumping inside now. So I did change the ambient lighting to match the outside color. It's funny, it really depends on the outside lighting. Like right now, it really looks a bit more yellow, but
yeah, it does.
Typically it looks like a pretty good match. But yeah, otherwise, the inside is pretty much the same. I do have a dog cover. This is a Tesla OEM dog cover, but it's technically from the pre-refresh, the non-Highland Model 3. Still fits completely fine, almost perfectly, but I will say the door covers are not installed because they don't actually fit. So however they changed the door card at the top changes how the dog cover basically, it does slide in, but it won't stay. The moment the window goes down to open the door, because it's a frameless door, and then back up, that's where the dog cover kind of just literally falls apart. Like, it just falls off. So it'd be cool if I had a newer dog cover, I guess. Maybe I can buy just the door panels.
Yeah, just get a cat.
Or just get a cat. Otherwise, another thing that we just did a video on, so I won't talk about too much, is the sexy buttons here. So I have sexy buttons where stocks would normally come out, actually. 2 buttons, one on each side of the steering column. One does drift mode and also turns off region completely, just in case I want that. The other one does shifting to drive and reverse. Like, I just tap it and it goes between one or the other. If I press and hold that, it turns off the reverse mirror tilting, which is can be nice. This one on here does climate control on or off. And if I press and hold it, it does dog mode. And then behind here is the glove box. There you go, just opened. And then unfortunately it doesn't power close, so you have to manually close it. But if I press and hold that, it'll do the frunk. So good use for sexy buttons. I think it's really cool. I think it's a useful product. We like them in all of our cars. We wish they had them for the Cybertruck, but they're working on that. And Kyle will hopefully have his Cybertruck 1-year review pretty soon, which will be nice. And yeah, also the commander that the sexy buttons run off of gives you more access to settings on your car and connection to Scan My Tesla, so I can see my battery temperature, etc. I can set up manual preconditioning. Like, I can just tap the button in the app and it'll do preconditioning without navigating to a supercharger. So if I'm navigating somewhere else, I don't have to do the trick where you navigate to a supercharger but not go to the supercharger. So that's kind of nice. There's a lot of nice options, even with like having FSD turned on and the screen starts flashing blue. I have it now to where my ambient lighting also flashes blue. Blind spot monitoring, it'll turn red if I'm trying to go over and someone's in the blind spot. So a lot of cool features. I have a whole video on sexy buttons, so go watch that. I won't waste your time here. Then the other thing I wanted to point out that I maybe should have pointed out first, because it was the first thing I got, was some stuff from Joua. They're friends of ours, and they sent some stuff over for the Model 3. Notably, the base Model 3, even though it comes with all those great features, I sound like a salesman, but even though it comes with ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, like a lot of things that other car companies reserve for their higher trims, it didn't come with floor mats. Did yours come with floor mats?
No, they did not.
Wow. So, floor mats are just apparently not a thing in the future.
Wait, stop. My new one came with floor mats. My old one didn't come with floor mats.
Weird. I don't really understand their floor mat strategy. I would think any car should come with floor mats. So, Joua sent me these floor mats. I don't know if you can see it on either your side or my side or whatever, but they're all-weather, really solid, textured, but easy to clean, easy to wipe down. And I'm pretty happy they fill all the footwells. They even fill the trunk cubby in the top and also the sub-trunk, as well as the front. So they have me covered in floor mats in this thing. Which have been great for, especially now with the snow, everything's disgusting outside.
Yep.
And so tracking snow in here, it just melts and then it dries because it's Colorado. It's always too dry here.
Very dry.
So they also sent me this thing, which is a power brick situation. I forget the watt. I think this is the highest wattage. It's like 65 watts, maybe. I forget the exact wattage, but higher wattage than a lot of other USB ports. This one is a built-in cable that I think does like 20 watts or so, which is nice. And it like retracts way out here.
Nice.
If you need to, not quite far enough to go to the back seat, and then it goes back in here and hides. So if you don't have your cable with you, you can use the built-in one. This thing's been really nifty. I've plugged in various GoPro cameras to it, my phone in case the wireless charger is not fast enough, because the wireless charger is not fast in general. I wish this was Qi 2. That would have been a really cool feature of the Highland, but maybe that just wasn't ready at the time.
And if it was cooled, it would be even.
Oh my gosh, if it was cooled and Qi 2 and like magnetic, which I think Qi 2 has to be officially the standard, that'd be so nice, because charging your phone with a wireless charger, it's really frustrating and kind of terrible. So that's it. Joa also sent me the cover for these up here. I haven't installed them yet because I really like to see through, but once summer hits, I think I'll be installing those because this does get a bit warm. The Highland was just before Tesla seemed to develop the roof technology that I think the Cybertruck has, as well as the new Model Y, that makes it much cooler, more repelling of sun and stuff.
7 times
Yeah, it's like
Tesla?
7 times cooler. So that would have been nice to get in our cars, but
Yeah, I wish I had this. Yeah.
because I don't, I'll probably just install one of those from Jua, and should be good enough. So I guess we'll see how this car does in the summer, but I've only really had it in the winter. Took delivery like in November, December, which means, November. So basically cold, late fall / winter is how I've been enduring it, and I've still been getting pretty good efficiency. I wanted to also talk about upgrades and updates that have happened. Obviously the modifications are, I guess you could sort of call them upgrades, but in Tesla's terminology, upgrade means basically a package you can buy, such as FSD or premium connectivity. Now, my car, when delivered, came with 1 month. There are some times where Teslas have like 3 months FSD when you take delivery. It just really depends on the timing of when you order it or take delivery or whatever. For me, it was 1 month. I used the trial. I actually expected to use the trial and then just be fine without it, because I was like, well, autopilot's still plenty good. It's still a very useful feature. And then if I ever want to, I could maybe buy FSD for a month if I wanted to like go on a long road trip and wanted to use it for that. That was my intention. I did let the trial expire. I did properly try autopilot, and then I decided FSD. There's just like too many frustrations with basic autopilot, including like auto park is part of FSD, right? I don't think you can auto park with just no FSD subscription, which is really frustrating because a lot of other cars do actually have that. Some of them lump it into higher price points of like ADAS, but the actual FSD package is what you need to get auto park. And I use that more than I expected. It's really good. Maybe I just didn't expect to use it because so many other cars have terrible auto park, so I just don't even bother. But that's actually been really nice. And then FSD itself has been actually insane. We did a whole video, which I'll link below or put on the screen or something, but where me and Andreas and Jess and Era, the dog, went on an FSD drive, did the hogback challenge, and it was the first hogback with 0 interventions.
Right.
Like, absolutely insane. And I've used it on my road trip. I think I did 1,300 or 1,400 miles total. I probably drove for like 2 of those miles. I touched the steering wheel twice on the way from Denver to Kansas City, and that was only in parking lots. So it's really just a nice way to travel. Like it's crazy how, I mean, even just me and Andreas went down South Denver today and then back up, going through heavy traffic in Denver. Traffic's just not fatiguing when you're just like sitting there. You don't even have to worry about satisfying nags on the steering wheel. FSD is just really impressive. I'm not trying to be an FSD shill. Literally my license plate says FSD-ish because it's not done yet. I'm not one of those people that's like, FSD is ready in 2 weeks. We don't need drivers in the car anymore.
3 weeks, maybe?
I don't think, every time Tesla gives a timeline, I kind of ignore it, just as a rule of thumb. So it's not perfect. It's not a flawless system, but it is leagues above all the rest. Fight me if you disagree. Actually, I'll be in the comments probably a lot after this video because I'm curious how everyone reacts to all these things, because I'm coming at this 3 months really positive, and more positive than I even expected. We'll get to the final thoughts in a bit, but I tried living with FSD, didn't really like that, but I was not going to buy it because it is $8,000. That felt like a lot of money, and it just didn't seem like it was that worth it to me. Like, I do love using it, but it didn't seem like it was necessary. Part of that's because this car is so engaging and fun to drive. I actually really enjoy driving this car. But FSD is, like, I was literally about to purchase 1 month of it for that road trip film, which I intended to do all on FSD anyways. And then that day, Tesla unveiled the fact that they were going to allow people to use referral points towards subscriptions. which was huge to me. I couldn't believe they weren't doing that. I was about to make a video ranting against Tesla on that being the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because like referral points are done by me helping them sell cars. So why would they not reward me with spending those referral points on their own software, which is not even a physical thing that they have to like sell and lose money on, like components. I get the R&D and like that side of things on FSD. It's why it's expensive. But I do hope that price continues to fall. Sure, it's a risk because, you know, Andreas purchased FSD, but at the time, I don't know if they had subscriptions by month.
No.
But then when they brought out monthly subscriptions, it was $200 a month, which is a lot of money. That's like some people's car payments. So it is still risky because I could be like, I could end up with Tesla charging way more monthly for FSD. But the other side could happen where they also bring the price down. It's really hard to predict what they'll do. And so there's no sense in trying to predict it. But for now, absolutely worth it for me to spend basically referral money on FSD and premium connectivity. That's the other thing that's an upgrade that I tried to live without. Fortunately, Tesla does let you navigate. I mean, you can do all sorts of plotting to locations, and it takes into traffic data as well. But there is a lot of nice features of like, I don't know, sitting on a charger, watching YouTube, and in the music stuff, like you can of course use Bluetooth, but I loved having my music and podcast as an app on the car. I use Apple Music. Sorry for all you Spotify enjoyers out there, but hasn't been a big issue. So I realized premium connectivity was definitely worth it. And that's definitely cheap. That's like $10 a month, something like that. Actually, a bit less if you do the year, which is $99 for a year. So that's what I did. So those upgrades I felt like were worth it.
And I think you should just get premium connectivity because you buy a car, you want to use all of its features, you know, like why cheap out on that?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big subscription fan either, but it's just, you know, I want to have the full experience the car can provide. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yep, exactly. So that's kind of all the upgrades, I think. As far as updates, we did a video, Andreas, you and I, on the Tesla holiday update. That was one of the biggest updates. Right before that, though, I did experience FSD 12 before getting the update with FSD 13. FSD 13 is what made me keep the subscription. I should have mentioned that, but like at FSD 12, I was like, it's pretty good, but like was really quite annoying and robot-like and like wasn't super smooth to stops. Like it was still interesting to observe, but I was not going to use it on the daily basis. Or maybe I would have, but like as an entertainment rather than like actual usefulness. FSD 13 shifted that completely, and now with more iterative improvements on FSD 13, really impressive. The holiday update brought out more things, some useless things like more light shows, which are cool, but also like the Apple Watch app, which I've used a few times, but it's actually not great. I don't know if you've used yours much.
Sometimes, but you know, it usually times out too soon, takes forever to connect. I wish you could control the temperature too.
Yeah,
like the AC.
It's just not customizable enough. It often makes me like close and reopen the app on the watch. And it should just like work as like a proximity key, but all times I have to go into the app, open the app, then it'll unlock the car. Even then, sometimes it won't recognize it as a key, and I've had to delete and re-add it once. So like, maybe it needs some work. And I thought, oh, maybe my watch is a bit older, but like Timon has a newer watch, and he's had a lot of the same issues.
Yeah, even mine.
So I'm curious on any of you if you guys have had watch challenges with the Apple Watch app for Tesla. I know it's a new thing, like their app. Nice old P85D with a nose cone. Their app on the phone, amazing, best in the business.
Yep.
Actually not perfect, and I should do a Tesla software video because I do want to pick apart some things and nitpick things. But as an app, just generally fantastic. The Apple Watch app needs to catch up just a bit. Anything else that's like a big update recently? I'm trying to think like updates in the last 3 months.
Yeah, no, I really use the search en route, or what's that feature called?
They added search within the route.
Yeah.
Search along route.
Search along route,
which has been really, actually you're right. There's times where I haven't used it because I was still reverting to the memory of like annoying searches. But actually it worked just fine. And I was like, there's times where it's like, oh, I'm going to find a Starbucks but it's not going to know. And I'm like, wait, it's smarter than it used to be. So now it does know to search along the actual drive, and then I can pick the exact one I want. Because usually I have one in mind. Like, I use it when I'm thinking of what I already know, and it's just easier for the car to like find it for me instead of me trying to manually locate it. So finally it's getting more useful. And I have also used the addition of the satellite imagery of weather radar. That's the term. Weather radar has been nice to use, and also showing like weather at the destination. So you can see here, that's all kind of rain and snow. It's actually more snow, but maybe it's not differentiating rain or snow. I don't know. But it's been a really nifty feature, and I mean, updates in general are just really, really nice and easy to install.
All right, time to unplug.
Ugh. People think we're so weird. And off. Actually, you drive.
Okay.
So now Andreas is driving, and just the software is done so well. And I hate that this makes me sound like a Tesla superfan. I'm not. So he jumps in the car, selected his profile, immediately seating position, steering wheel, all of your apps, settings, everything just switched to yours. So easily, so smoothly, so easy. And now the ambient lighting is even blue.
And the Hummer EV over there.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of EVs. It's fun to see what's out and about. But anyways, before we jump into the statistics section, the stats, the data that everyone seems to love, I wanted to mention, I mentioned the issue I had where the steering wheel is like 1 or 2 degrees off alignment. But the other issue, come on, FSD, there's a Lexus coming and they will run us over.
And a pizza donut delivery person.
Wow.
The push the accelerator. Or the intervention.
Intervention, yep. FSD is not perfect after all. I wanted to mention I've had 4 instances of the screen randomly rebooting and just going back to the Tesla logo. Like, super strange. I'm guessing software glitch. I don't know. It hasn't actually happened since the last update or a couple updates. Like, I don't think it's happened in the last month, but it was weird. That was another like issue that just came to mind. But let's talk about statistics. So I have done, I guess I'll go to trips here. So I've done 5,600 miles as of today, and the average efficiency is 259 watt hours per mile. That's actually disappointing. And it does talk to how thrown off, how skewed the lifetime can be, and it'll correct itself over time. But basically, mine is a hair under 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which is actually still really good.
Very good, yeah.
Yours is a hair over. You have the all-wheel drive, and you're actually sitting at like 245 watt hours per mile.
Yep.
The reason mine is so skewed is because of my road trip on New Year's out to Missouri and back. On the way back, I had insane headwind and extremely cold temperatures. And I was, climbing back the elevation, which that's fine. On the way out there, I was going down elevation, but also higher speeds because I was also using FSD, and it was doing I think it was in hurry mode or whatever. So the way back, I was getting like 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour, and that was for like 700 miles straight. So that just absolutely plummeted my average, which is a huge bummer for an efficiency nerd.
Yeah.
Like myself.
Can't be over 250 for this guy.
I mean, you would have just like been melting the whole time. But on average, since then, I feel like most drives I end are getting between 4.5, about 4.5 miles per kilowatt hour. That is a pretty rough guess. Like 225 watt hours per mile is pretty average on most of my drives, which is, again, insane. Really good efficiency. This is genuinely a car I think people could live on a level 1 charge if they had to. As far as, I guess, entire total energy used, it says 1,454 kilowatt hours. I was curious to see if that was what would be matched by Teslafy. I use Teslafy to track my data even further. But looking through here, they're saying I've used 1,900 kilowatt hours. lifetime energy used versus kilowatt hours used maybe driving. So 1413 is what they're saying driving. So they're saying a bit less driving, but a bit more overall, which makes sense. There's a lot of energy that has been used for battery cooling, which is not when you're moving, or even climate being turned on before you actually leave. I guess that's a pro tip. If you want your efficiency metric to be better, pre-warm or pre-cool your cabin before leaving, and
one of the best features,
don't navigate to a supercharger.
yeah
Which makes your charging slower, but your efficiency better, which is kind of funny. As far as my percentages, it's not quite 50-50. I've actually done slightly more DC fast charging, 54% DC fast charging, 46% AC charging, which that's not totally surprising because of that road trip, which was about a third of my mileage, and a few other smaller road trips locally here and there. I do have level 2 charging in my house, but I'm not always at my house. So that also is a challenge. So I do still want to plan to do a video. It's just hard because I travel so much, but I do want to do a video where I'm here for a week, level 1 charging for a week.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be really interesting to see how much energy I'm recuperating, you know, maybe starting with 80%, whatever.
I've done this for a while, actually.
Yeah, that's right. You level 1 charged a lot at your previous apartment. How was that?
It was fine because my commute is maybe 30 miles per day plus running errands. It's call it 50 miles. I usually would make up overnight what I consumed throughout the day.
Yep.
But winter times it was tougher. You know, it cannot even keep up with maintaining the battery temperature.
Right.
If it's like very cold. Fun fact: the same fire truck is here again from the previous clip.
What the heck? He's following us.
So
yeah, and Timon also lives with level 1 charging. So that'll be a fun video
It is doable.
to feature you and Timon on as well, who've done it a lot, and then myself, who wants to, I guess, experiment with it. But either way, a really efficient car means that's fantastic. Teslafy is nice stats to have, although it's not a free service. It is another monthly charge that a lot of people are annoyed by, so I understand not using it. You even used it a bit and then stopped?
Then I just did $8 a month, and I never really used it. And $8 is like a beer, you know, so.
Yeah, I know.
It's a waste that money.
Hard to swallow. And I should also say my efficiency is also lifetime worse than yours, but I've only had my car during winter. In fact, according to Teslafy, the average temperature while I've owned my car has been 37 degrees Fahrenheit. So 2-ish degrees Celsius. It is basically wintertime efficiency of still being almost 4 miles per kilowatt hour, including that road trip. So I'm really excited to see how it does in summer. I might even reset one of my trip meters in summer, like the moment summer starts, and just see what my summertime efficiency is. Like maybe I'll do it by season. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, yeah, those are the rough stats. Teslafy is saying it's 256 watt hours per mile is the average so far, and the average efficiency was 80%. So it's saying, like, if I had been 100% efficient, in theory, I would have done about 200 watt hours per mile. Which is, I wonder how they're like calculating that.
Yeah, what is that? Heat loss?
Yeah, it's possibly like driving faster than, like, you know, even if you're doing like sometimes you're doing the speed limit. That's not efficient. If you had been doing a little bit under the speed limit or less fast, like a lot of people go 5 over. I guess I was allegedly. Wow, finally avoided some snow there. It was weird. Side note: FSD doesn't avoid potholes at all very well.
No,
it's really
introduced. The China system did it. The one Kyle tested in China.
Yeah. There's other systems that do in other markets. So that's kind of disappointing. But it does avoid objects in the road pretty well. That's something I found out. But yeah, that's my efficiency and my stats as far as I can tell. So excited to keep commenting on that. Of course, each road trip film I do, I really focus on the efficiency. And yeah, wow, they ripped out your level 2 chargers.
Yeah, they did. Kind of crazy.
So nice little drive. FSD took us the whole way. It was pretty easy. And again, there's been videos on a lot of these things I've talked about, such as the wrap over on Out of Spec Detailing. We also did a build quality analysis over on Out of Spec Detailing, talking about how well built this was. Actually better than we expected. Definitely improvements from earlier cars, which is not surprising. They've been building Model 3s for like 8 years now. So pretty cool to see improvements, and hopefully they keep improving, because it's still not to the level of some of the especially German cars that Colton has been testing over in out-of-spec detailing. Also, FSD video has already been done, the FSD hogback, but that was in our ADAS test, our general test where we test all the different ADAS systems. Looking forward to testing this FSD more intently at some point. So maybe me and Kyle and Andreas can come up with a more intense test. But that's really, I think, a pretty good summary of my thoughts on this car. It just does everything I need. I drive it more than I expected. I mean, my other car is a turbo Miata, which is an absolute blast to drive, but this is hard to beat as a daily driver. I still enjoy taking the Miata out in the canyons, but I think the Model 3 driving dynamics are just so engaging and nice to live with. So when I do have to drive, I'm not upset. Like, a lot of daily drivers kill my soul a little bit. Like, they're just like, bummer, I have to take the daily driver today because of inclement weather or whatever. For the longest time, I held out not buying a daily driver because the Miata is so much fun. So I just would buy snow tires and like do whatever I needed to do to drive that all year. Now that really has become the nicer weather car, which I still take out quite a bit, but this has just been so easy. Throw the dogs in the back, go on road trips, throw so much stuff. I'm actually doing a car camping video here soon, so maybe I'll kind of roll into what's next. Hoping to do more modifications, nothing crazy, but like a subwoofer would be really cool. Like I mentioned, the sound system's brilliant, especially in the mids and the highs, nice and crystal clear, but it is lacking some of that lower oomph. Also, tint would be nice. It is a fishbowl, which is the term used for, like, you could just see right through it. Tint would be really great to have, so I might work with someone on that. Might switch out wheels at some point, maybe a different color, maybe the MW5 from Martian wheels would be interesting. I'm curious what you guys think. Black is most people's vote, like what Andreas has on his white car. It looks really good. I really do like silver though. And these Hockley R5s are cool, but the new Nokian Surpass AS01 is about to be mounted to these wheels, and I'm going to be doing a road trip on that very soon. So those are the ultra high performance all season tires that are supposedly also very efficient. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, like, final thoughts is like, okay, it's really efficient. I wish it was more efficient, but it is winter, and that's why it's not so efficient. EVs are just less efficient in the cold. There's no surprise there. And then the charging is fine, but like, Tesla's charging curve really does still kind of suck. It's totally just mid. Like, there's cars with plenty worse charging. There's also cars with way better charging, especially all the stuff that we've seen Kyle do over in China recently. So I wish the charging was better. I don't know why there's no way to like unlock it a little bit, like let the user maybe say that they want to do better charging, even if it's worse for the long-term health of the battery. I don't know, that'd be interesting. Curious what you guys think of that. So that's all of our thoughts. So many thoughts. Honestly, the Tesla did a great job with this car. My heart goes out to the engineers.
Cancelled.
Hello and welcome to something. Dude, Burt's Bee has always gotta,
Yeah.
always gotta have it.
Sorry.